Get going.
Yeah. Hey everybody, hey, as you know, I'm William Wallis, my show, William Wallis for America. And for those people who are listening only, I always spell my last name because everybody gets it wrong, W-A-L-L-I-S. The easiest way to remember my show is William Wallis is for America. Wallis is for America.
Yeah. You know, I had a teacher once, her name was Mrs. Rippin, and she'd always tell us, you can remember my name because it's a rip with a pin. A rip with a pin.
With a pin. So my show, they're not going to hear all the fancy sound effects, but I want to tell everybody who's watching my show today that I am in the podcast studio with Victor DelGiorno, and of course it's Coin Trader Studio.
Coin Trader
Studio. Victor DelGiorno's show is All Over the Road podcast. So when I'm not recording my own podcast, I love listening to their podcast. And across from me is Ted Semper in the blue shirt you see. And Ted is the guy that makes the magic happen. So we got Victor as the personality who just delivers the great message. And you got Ted over here who puts the message together, adds and puts some things together to make it more beautiful, more colorful.
Ted is by far the best editor in podcasting.
Oh, I was giving him a little bit more oomph than editor because he's kind of
but I mean, he's a great editor.
Well, we take our podcast, the audio, and then we post-production. We edit it into post-production, and then add the bells and the whistles, so to speak, as opposed to just raw. Although if we go live, it's raw, which we do sometimes. Now, you said you don't really add your, what you get on your recording.
What I get
is what it is.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna point out to my listeners on my show is that. I'm a bragger that I got a real fancy camera, and I got all the fancy equipment that you guys have.
Yeah.
I just don't have the setup in an exact recording studio because I do a lot of my a lot of my shows are mobile. I go to people, interview them, and then I take that video, put it up on William Wallis for America on YouTube, Facebook, and Rumble, and then I take the audio off and I create a podcast out of the audio because I believe that some people like to actually watch. Like people watching now, they're going to look at your studio. They're going to go, wow, look, you got your banner in the back.
You got the Saints jersey.
Taysom
Hill's jersey.
I love it. I mean, if you look, you've got a Rodecaster Pro.
Yeah.
So this is great for my listeners and my watchers.
Well, we only have this stuff because we think our Coin Trader Inc. sponsorship.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's why we have what we have.
And they got
like that, Vic?
Like that? Yeah.
Do they have a lot of change? Do they have a lot of coins in their deep pockets?
Yeah, they have very deep.
And if you want to ask about Coin Trader, feel free.
Okay.
Well, you know what I like too, and I don't mean that, because you're a political expert.
I love politics.
Although Teddy considers himself the political expert on the show, but it fails in comparison because he's really not. He's a pseudo. But because now that we know you,
we have to have some.
We have a real political.
Yeah, I'm the political arm of your All Over the Road podcast.
I like that idea.
William's been on our podcast how many times? 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, and you guys are like another arm of my show. Yeah. And that's something else I wanted to point out in the video and on my show is that podcasters, we work together. We're not in competition against each other because I've got my own genre, which you talked about as politics.
Yeah.
You've got your genre, which is all over the road. You kind of blend in a little, like the thread of mine is politics. I try to make everything political, which I'm going to do on your show in a little bit here, or my show with you in a little bit. But, you guys are more like non-political. But you bring on some political people.
Well, let me say, we really met through the political side, and the things through the mayoral election.
Right, exactly.
How we met you, I guess.
Yeah.
I had heard your name before because you're pretty well known.
Well, actually, I was on Victor's radar before the politics.
Yeah, before we actually met.
And the politics kind of clicked, and then it was.
And just let me say, All Over the Road New Orleans is the podcast that Victor started 3 years ago now.
Yeah, I love it.
Really, it's New Orleans focused, but it truly is all over the road because it's pop culture. We have guests. We talk sports. We talk whatever's going on in New Orleans. We fashion, food. We do talk politics from time to time.
To the left.
So anybody who's just tuning into William's podcast, if you want to check out our podcast, please do. You can find it on Apple and all the platforms.
I will tell you this, though, to the William Wallis for America listeners, that if you want to discuss the District B council runoff, city council round that's taking place on the 11th. I am qualified to talk about it.
Who's the two finals?
You got Banks,
Okay.
who's big time machine,
Okay.
big time,
Yeah.
dirty.
Wow.
I've heard these stories.
And then he's running against this Harris girl. Okay.
Oh, I've seen her signs.
Yeah, she is really sharp.
Yeah.
They're both Democrats, but they had a debate last night on Channel 6
Oh, yeah.
with one of the brothers, one of the two brothers, the twin brothers on Channel 6.
Oh, Mackle.
Mackle, one of the Mackle
Okay.
boys. I assume it's the news Mackle guy,
Yeah.
the sports Mackle, the news Mackle.
Yeah.
And it was a very interesting debate, and she handled herself extremely well. He's just a pompous old, these old school, New Orleans,
But you know what makes it even
Cookie
more
jar
pompous in politics here in New Orleans is that what they did, what the council did many years ago, was they divided up these council seats to where you will never see a Republican on the ticket. You will never. It's the way they've divvied up the districts is every district is predominantly Democrat, and so as a result, you almost know that the Democrats always going to have the upper hand. But even worse than that is you have politicians that really, they're pompous. They don't care. They already know that once they're in, they're going to be able to stay in no matter what their attitude is.
Like Titi.
Yeah, like her, yeah.
Like Titi.
Yeah.
This election, it was like last month or so.
But you mean the woman that uses the F word in almost every sentence that she uses with behind scenes?
Does she really?
Some mayor said that or something.
Oh yeah. Like I hear people all the time like, oh yeah, but you're talking to her. She drops the F bomb constantly, but like in public,
She's
it's like
official content. I mean, that's part of the language.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
nothing personal, but
Well, yeah, I mean,
now look, District B. What is District B?
Yeah,
you
what
know,
is it?
that's something I don't know.
I don't know the whole boundaries of
Why
District
not?
B. Well, because they changed, years ago. They changed, like I said, they changed them. They gerrymandered them in such a way,
Gotcha.
which like I said, to where they're only a Democrat, type of district. So and they gerrymandered them. The council gerrymandered them in such a way where that clique, those cliques that kind of get like you talked about with Banks, there's no way to vote them out because once you get in that clique, once you get in that. You get elected and you get in their clique, they all help each other stay in office, and that's what they did with the redistricting.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I will give you a sneak preview of something that's coming out of my podcast, is gerrymander. Do you know that gerrymander is a real person? He was
a person?
He was a real person who actually came up with a tactic on how to gerrymander a district.
Gotcha.
And he was a Democrat, by the way.
Okay. Oh,
And gerrymandering is usually done in favor. When gerrymandering happens, it usually happens in favor of Democrats.
Well, one of the big issues in the District B races is that this guy Banks is apparently on the board of the Sewerage and Water Board, who is now being investigated by the FBI.
Right.
Which.
Well, the Sewage and Water Board is kind of a little fiefdom. It's managed by the people of the council. It's managed by the mayor. They hire everybody, and it's if you look at the the structure of the Sewage and Water Board, it's almost kind of like how looking at a family tree. Because people are related, it's friends and family, and that's why nobody gets fired. And that's why nothing happens, and that's why everybody gets away with what they get away with. But, like you said, now the investigations are coming because I think people are just getting tired of mismanaged funds in the city. And that's why, we all laugh that Mitch Landrieu got appointed to run this $1 trillion deal on a national level, but nobody realizes how bad he mismanaged things here in Louisiana. I mean, or New Orleans.
Now you can do it on a national level.
Yeah, now you can do it on a national level, right. You think the potholes in New Orleans are big, just you wait to see the ones on the interstate system that he does.
Yeah. That's crazy. I heard that some of the money is actually coming to Louisiana like this week, I think.
So what could happen?
But
with the FBI being involved in this, tell me what could.
Ooh, that one's would be out of my wheelhouse. But what I would suppose would happen, very easily, is that you get a flush out. I mean, you're going to get a bunch of people that they find, aren't doing their job there and get arrested. Or I guess there's a lot of investigations that have to be done to find out where the money goes once it goes in there. Or like the Mayor Landrieu, everybody's got mad because all the street work was being done by his cousin with the concrete company, right? So is there some sort of system like that going on in the Sewage and Water Board where people are hiring their friends who have businesses and invoices are being received and paid, and maybe work's not being done? I would assume there's a lot of work not being done that's been invoiced.
Right.
Not even done properly, because you can just look at our streets around here.
Well, William Wallis for America is a podcast I'm sure that a lot of Republicans in the area listen to. And I live in the Lakeview area. It's predominantly Republican.
Right.
And when Katrina hit, we got all this national money to fix up the streets. So it was funny how all that went down. A lot of the areas that got fixed first were areas that were totally uninhabitable at that point, but they somehow got at the top of the list. Well, about a year and a half ago, all the streets in our street was a mess. Well, we got a brand new street.
Oh, yeah.
They came in here and it was beautiful.
Nice.
Well, since then, the Sewage and Water Board's been in here 5, 6, 7 times digging something up, digging that up, and they've ruined the street again.
Right.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's and then you get paranoid because what they do, they show up with their little spray paint cans, and they start spray painting stuff in front of your house.
Yeah.
And that means they're going to start digging.
They're
something.
coming.
They're going to I know people they've dug their lawns up.
Just wait till you get a bike lane in front of your street.
Yeah.
Have you heard about this?
No.
Oh my gosh! So in the city of New Orleans,
I know what's happening downtown with them.
Oh no! There's a whole other sub story behind this. In the city of New Orleans, they put these bike lanes up like in Algiers, and the homeowners in some of these areas, in these subdivision areas, they're raging mad because the bike lanes are going in front of their houses, so they can't park in front of their houses anymore. The bike lanes take up the parking in front of their house.
Oh, man.
So and all these barricades to block the bike lanes make it to where they don't have easy access in and out of their driveways. Lo and behold, they have a boat or
What percentage of people are riding bikes?
Exactly.
2%?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so now what happens is the bike lanes go right in front of your house. Your parking lane is where the middle of the street used to be, and then the drive lane is next to that. So they take a 2-lane street. They make basically make it one to a bike lane or a parking lane, and then one to the driving lane. So now you're parking in the middle of the street. You got traffic on one side. You got to negotiate if there's a biker coming. You can't get in the driveway.
Do they make it a one-way then?
They make it a one-way.
With one lane.
Yeah, on one of these, yeah. So
it's
so the people in Algiers, particularly, are furious about what's going on with the bike lanes, and that's where you see what's going on downtown. You're losing streets, you're losing lanes downtown to bike lanes, and then during traffic, you see people on mopeds and motorized bikes riding down. Kristen Palmer. Kristen Palmer was the one that they say is responsible for bringing a lot of these bike lanes.
She must be an avid bike rider, I presume.
I don't know if she is or not. I haven't seen her.
It's a she.
Yeah, Kristen Palmer's a she.
She's doing it for her constituents.
Well, she's doing it because it's all about the money. It's all about. I'm tying it into Victor's good point of bringing up, Mayor Landrieu and the spending money and some of this money coming to New Orleans. That's what happens. They put this money into a fund in these trillion-dollar spending bills, and they tell the city, hey, we got a fund for bike lanes, and somebody says, oh, I believe in global warming, and I do this, and let's have a bike lane, and let's produce more bikes and happiness, and, smiley faces, and stuff like that. It will all happen when the more people ride in the bike lanes. Crime goes down, when you spend money on bike lanes. Did you know that?
It's got to be proven somewhere.
So then they tie all these happy thoughts in that how good it is to spend money on bike lanes, and then some council member like Kristen Palmer say, hey, there's money spent in New Orleans. My cousin or Mitch Landrieu's cousin's got a concrete company. My cousin's got a barricade company.
Well, you know what's going to start happening? You're going to have those bicycle jackings.
Bike jackings. Hey,
when they...
It's your show. That's right. I'm giving him permission to talk.
I love his show. Well, it's funny because what I like is that when people don't hear is that on Victor's Roadcaster Pro that he records on, he's got all kinds of fancy buttons. So my show
is Roadcaster Pro a sponsor of your show?
No, they're not. Because they
better start paying.
They wouldn't sponsor my show because I just got a task key.
Okay. I see.
So what's funny is that the people on my show aren't hearing all the funny buttons that he's pushing. So we might have to give them an insight to that. You know,
are there any bike jackings taking place?
I don't know if there's any bike jackings, but you know, I'll tell you, I used to do stand-up comedy many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so
good.
I got to give credit. I got to give. Well, it was after a divorce, and so I did divorce humor.
Oh, good.
And so it was good.
That's always big, yeah.
It was good stuff.
So you can laugh at it, you can live with it.
Yeah, exactly. Well.
Vic wouldn't know because she's been married like 100 years.
Marriage. If you can laugh at it, you can live with it. But I have to tell those jokes another time on my show. Yeah. But you know, it's funny because when I used to do stand-up comedy, there was a guy that I used to travel with doing stand-up comedy, and he did something funny. He says, you know, when guns are outlawed, you'll hear things like, bow and arrow, drive-by bow and arrow shootings.
Right.
New Orleans now, you hear boom, 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 all this shooting, and everybody knows it's a drive-by. Yeah. You'll hear, an arrow by your head, you go, did somebody just drive by arrow?
It's like my grandson. I was playing with a nutcracker. We got these nutcrackers in the house.
Yeah.
And, he's a big old nutcracker. And you can put your hand behind him, you can move his mouth.
Oh, cool.
And so I do stuff with my grandsons where they talk to the nutcracker. And then they turn to me and I go, no, talk to him. Okay, so they're talking to the nutcracker. And the nutcrackers, my grandson Teddy granted him 3 Christmas wishes. And his first wish was a slingshot. Okay, his second wish was a bow and arrow. And his third was a real gun with no bullets. So there you go.
Then in that case, you just give him a brick. Because a gun with no bullets is no better. There's no more effective than a brick.
There you go.
Well, Victor, for my show and for people that are watching my show, what do you do actually? What do you other than a podcasting? A lot of people don't realize, there's not many people podcasting full time, making a living at podcasting. What do you do regularly?
Well, in case people don't know, I come from a long line of broadcasters. I'm a DelGiorno. Yeah. My whole family has been in broadcasting since the jump. My dad was in the business for about 60 years and still thinks he's in the business. He's got a really crazy Facebook page, Bob DelGiorno. Yeah. I got 2 younger brothers. I got a baby brother at WTN Super Talk in Nashville. Another brother up in northern Arkansas that owns a bunch of 5,000-watt daytime stations, and he does that. And of course, Ted and I worked in the radio business for many years at several different radio stations. Yeah, and so I was in the radio business, and mostly, that was my full-time job for many years. I moved my family all over the country. We lived in Dallas, Memphis, Los Angeles, Chicago, moving all over, when you're in the radio business. Yeah. And then I started a small business that does precious metals and rare coins, and they sponsor my show, and that's basically it.
It's an easy sell.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's easy to say. Yeah. Well, in today's political climate, remember the thread of my show is politics. We've talked about New Orleans politics, but, coin trading has got to be something good because, everybody's worried about their money. Everybody's worried about the financial hard times, worried about inflation.
Yeah, inflation is the big word. Inflation is the big word. Yeah. That's where it's a hedge against inflation. People buy metals for that. The rare coins is something that people do for their kids. It's more of a long-term investment. It's kind of like buying real estate. But what's great about my industry is that you don't have to give a social security number to invest. And so it's deregulated. So you have to be careful who you deal with, because the person you're dealing with really has a license to steal because he has no license. Mm-hmm. So you want to make sure that you're dealing with a reputable firm, and our firm is very reputable. But
you have a license then?
I have no license.
Okay.
Well, I have a commodities license.
You have a commodities license, but you work with a company that's a reputable company.
Correct.
That has the licensing.
There's no SEC that regulates securities, the Security Exchange Commission. There's no governing agency like there is for stocks and bonds and paper currencies. Paper investments. Precious metals is deregulated, so you can buy it, under the radar. But you get the physical stuff. I don't send you a statement every month telling you what your stuff's worth. You got the stuff hidden somewhere, and you get your hands on it. So
you hide it. You go
it's a tangible asset.
You go look it up, and you say, "Hey, my cash, my ACV of my gold coin is X. My numismatic value of it is not thermostatic value. My numismatic value of it is X." And you kind of do that. But
everything's on the internet. If you do your due diligence, there's no reason why you should pay too much or be taken advantage of on these types of products because it's all out there in a Google search. But the thing about when you talk about rare coins, It's a lot like real estate. You're gonna go buy a piece of land somewhere. Your real estate agent's gonna get with you and go, okay, Victor, okay, William, these are the comparables. I mean, this kind of property and the last one sold for this, one sold for that, and the price is all based on real sales and comparables. Well, the same thing goes for coins, so it's pretty easy to follow.
And I would say, like, be careful if there's a lot of ads on TV and radio, for that matter, right? For different companies that are
celebrity
spokespeople, and not to say that they're all up to some fishiness or what the price is, I guess.
Right. Well, no, they're just high markups.
Yeah, but be careful.
Yeah,
if you
pay a little bit more money for those spokespeople, saying, of course, when they have a spokesperson, the spokesperson has to be paid. But like with you, it's a smaller type of company, so you're not paying high-priced spokespeople, so the fees are less.
Yeah, if you were ever interested in doing something like that, I would suggest this. You go to a website, it's called goldpricesnow.com. And when you go to goldpricesnow.com, you're going to see real-time prices for all the metals. And then you can click and look at different stuff. Well, one of the things that's on the website is the top 10 red flags to look out for when you're investing. And we published that many years ago. My company did with the U.S. Postal Service. And when you go through it, it tells you things like companies that insist you use a credit card.
Right.
Companies that try to sell coins off a wreckage, a shipwreck. So high market celebrity spokespeople. If you see a company that's on TV and Robert Devane's telling you to do something, well, someone's got to pay Robert Devane, and that someone is you.
It's kind of like going when you go to a casino, which I hardly ever do. But when you go to a casino, you go in there, there's these beautiful furnishings, there's beautiful lights, and all the free food, and you go, well, how do they pay for it? Mm-hmm. Well, you're paying for it,
right? Well,
and so it's no different than when you look at the fancy, pretty stuff with a fancy, pretty, celebrity out there, and of course, they're paying fancy, pretty celebrities, whereas we can obviously see that some people they're not paying the fancy celebrities.
No, that's true.
That's right.
But it's going to send you a lot of money. Teddy here has probably the most premier. It's going on 20 years on that website. Is there .net?
Yeah.
And
my history is similar to Vic's, although I didn't come from a broadcasting family.
Yeah.
I just grew up. Actually,
you worked your way in.
I lived in Chicago growing up till I was like 22, but I got into radio, got interested in radio as a kid, but got into radio right at high school, 18 or so. But I grew up listening to his dad, Vic's dad, Bob, on WIND in Chicago when I was maybe 4th, 5th grade. I don't even know.
Your dad was
I didn't know. We didn't know each other.
He was big in Chicago. He was mostly in Chicago.
He was in Chicago at a couple stations, and then he came to New Orleans. And when I got hired to come to New Orleans to work at I was telling you before we started, at the old Disco 97, which is now B97 radio in New Orleans, but it was Disco for a quick minute. 1979, Bob, Vic's dad, was doing mornings at WWL by that time. So I thought it was like, man, I'm big time. I'm in the same market as Bob DelGiorno. Wow.
Dad
still hadn't met Vic, though.
Yeah, Dad started out in Syracuse. And listen to this. And on that station that he worked with in Syracuse, Dick Clark worked there.
Oh, wow.
WSYR. Dick Clark.
I
remember a guy named Wink Martindale. He was a game show host.
Yeah.
He worked there. Soupy Sales was a comedian.
Exactly.
He worked there. A lot of other guys that you may not know, the famous radio guys like Fred Winston, who worked at WLS in New Orleans. So they all came out of Syracuse. There's this big talent pool in Syracuse. And in University of Syracuse, it's a great communication school. Like, for instance, if you watch a lot of sports, Mike Tirico went to Syracuse. Adam Shine, who's a big sports guy, he went to Syracuse. So a lot of them went to. So my dad was in Syracuse. He went to. I was born there, and then we moved to Flint, Michigan. And he was at WTAC for about 6 or 7 years. Then he went to Fort Wayne for a year, which was in the Westinghouse broadcast system, and they promoted him to Chicago. And then he came here, and then he went back to Chicago. And so anyway, he didn't move around quite as much as me and Martha and the girls did, but we moved around.
So not only radio your whole life, it's like in your blood, it's like in your DNA.
Right. And Vic pretty much was done with the radio maybe 20 years ago now, right? Or
right.
When he started Coin Trader.
Right.
Okay, so he's pretty much done, and I think that once it's in your blood,
I was still doing kind of stuff. I was doing stuff.
We did a syndicated show for a while years ago now, and then he started his podcast like 3 years ago.
Right.
I wasn't really involved from the beginning, and then shortly after
5 shows.
got involved with it. But we actually met It's another story for another time. I suppose he was selling cars for a moment. This is a few years after I had gotten to New Orleans.
Hasn't everybody done something?
And I still didn't know who he was. And I go to look at a car at a Ford dealer on the West Bank.
Yeah.
And he was the car salesman who approached me on the floor, I guess, on the what do they call it, the new showroom floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was walking the curb, pounding the pavement.
I ended up buying the car.
That's a great car.
So wait, did you meet
was
at the radio station after that?
No, it was a great car.
Not a great car.
It was a Ford Mustang.
Yeah.
Ford.
Oh, you're gonna tell the story? You don't want to
It
tell
was
the
a
story.
Ford Escort GT fuel injection.
Oh, I had one of those.
The thing was,
It was a
it
cool
was.
car.
It was a great car.
Well, yeah, but it was.
He did it.
It was a
The
good
first
car.
brand new car was a Ford
Not
Escort.
that particular one, though.
He did something.
It was his
He had a
personal
damn
demo
warranty.
as the salesperson.
All right, right.
It came. Huh?
I ragged it a little.
Yeah, a little bit. I had to put a new engine in it. I had. Seriously.
It was covered.
I don't know about
It was
that.
covered.
This is.
We hit you with the extended warranty.
Yeah. There's other
Wait,
promise.
hang on, wait.
Promise.
Matter of fact, they're calling about my extended warranty now.
Yeah, if I'd only known about that deal, right?
Google heard you say extended warranty. I get a phone call.
That's it.
On my-
That's it.
So, anyways, we
Car you own
remained
6 years
friends after that incident.
Yeah.
We remained friends, and then
Well, he was
came to
working
work.
at Q. He was working at Q93.
Yeah, I was a
Despite
WQUE by that time.
And I had been in radio.
Where
I was
his-
taking a hiatus.
Yeah.
From radio. And he was working at Q93, and
Right.
he said, "Hey, we might get you in over there." And
Yeah, he ended up coming to work there, and
So one time it was me, him, and my brother Bobby working there.
I love it.
yeah, and then
So you were selling cars too?
no,
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 no.
I was on the radio, and then of course I got fired. And
It was
then-
hard
Yeah.
to get him handled. He had terrible
Yeah.
credit.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, I had to pull some strings. He didn't
Yeah.
want
that was my ex-wife though.
Well, that was the ex-wife stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
first
was
one.
always. It's always that.
Yeah.
In the car business, that's what they call it. Let's get the guy handled.
Let's get the guy.
Yeah. Can you get the guy handled? Yeah, get the guy handled.
Yeah, get the guy here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they say that in the mafia too.
Yeah.
He hooked me though. He's like, "What do you do for a living?" I'm like, "I'm in radio." Oh, my whole family's in radio. You probably know Bob and Bobby and Michael. Like,
And-
yeah, I work with them.
And you had no idea.
He had me from there.
And then he goes back in and goes over there, and then of course he gets out of radio. Next he's back in Coin Trader, which I'm circling back.
Well, that was years
for
later.
a reason. But
Yeah.
but on a political level, do you find that a lot of people are worried about what's going on in politics, and are they moving their money into coins? Because of the politics that are going on right now.
There are people right now that are absolutely scared to death on what's going to happen to the monetary system, what's going to happen to us, the economic.
This reset.
I have a,
So-
and that's what it is. It's
Yeah.
a reset, and it comes from this guy Klaus something in Germany,
Yeah.
who's like behind all this stuff. See, all this
Klaus
stuff is global.
Schwab
Right.
or something.
Yeah. Klaus
Is that it?
Schwab
Yeah.
is the guy,
Mhm.
and I mean this is all global. This isn't just happening here. It's there's just a move to kind of get everything into one kind of arena, which I think the idea is China to head it up, which would be disastrous.
Right.
But yeah, a lot of people are very, very. I mean, they don't even know. They just say, "Vic, I don't even know what to do. Just tell me what to do." And then that just it's really scary.
And people know they can trust you on many levels when your family's in radio.
No, all my
right.
people. Let me tell you something. In my business, it's very, very difficult to find a company that you can Google and not find some kind of litigation against them. I've never had one complaint. A plus, never. And the reason is because I don't take advantage of people on the sell price. So if I sell you something and something happens in 6 months, now if you buy gold and it goes down $100, I can't.
Right.
do
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
But for instance, if you go into coins and 6-7 months later, I got a problem, I got to sell a coin. I don't have to worry about buying it back from you because I didn't charge you a gob of money.
Right.
And so that's the thing that kind of keeps you going and to get you. And I work strictly on referrals. I do no advertising.
I mean, you've got customers for how many years now?
20 something.
20
I've
years.
been to clients'
I mean,
weddings.
they keep coming back.
Well, you've been in the business that long.
Since 2006 is.
Yeah.
So
I've been in the business
I know
since
for 20,
96.
25 years.
But then I worked for some companies, and then I started my own thing. And took
He got out of the car salesman.
Yeah.
I think it was a good decision.
So it was the kind of thing. So hey, you buy a car, you get a free coin.
But
You buy a
I
coin,
went
you
back
get
to
a
the
free
radio story real quick though. For that car that he sold me, I got him back when I hired him in Amarillo, Texas.
And I took the job.
Oh, you were
That was my get even.
Did the car Did the car he had make it out there?
I took the job in Amarillo, and 3 months later I was on Prozac. That's all.
So people are worried about what's going on. They're worried about the thing called the Great Reset. They're worried about their money.
What's crypto? I know you're about ready to do a series of show on crypto.
Yeah, we'll be doing a series of shows on crypto.
And that's not klepto. That's what I am.
Yeah, exactly. Not klepto. Not like klepto stealing coins or cars.
Yeah.
But crypto. I actually had a show last week on crypto. So I've already done my first show on crypto. Okay. And that was on, because I'm also on WGSO 990 AM on Tuesdays from 5 to 6. So I did a show last week on crypto on that, but it's also on my podcast.
I want to be on that show.
You want to be on that show?
I want to come to the studio and go downtown.
Well, we'll have to do that soon.
Yeah, I want to do that.
We'll make that happen sooner. You can show up. What'll happen though is, you'll walk into the studio and everybody will they'll just stop and they'll, that's a DelGiorno.
I doubt that. I've been in that studio before, but is that on Carondelet?
It's on Carondelet.
You know the security center across the street.
Yeah, you've been there. I heard your story about that.
Yeah, I did. I do a lot of business with them. It's a big security vault security center. A lot of clients have boxes there, and it used to be the old Federal Reserve Bank building back in the old days, and it's an enormous, impressive place. It's owned by David Orrick, who used to own Orrick Vacuum Cleaners, who sold it to the Japanese who own Hoover. That's right by there. And the time before last, I was there at a little incident on the street where I was approached by someone. I had a bunch of money on me in a rolling suitcase, and when I go down there, I have a sidearm that I strap to my ankle.
Exactly.
It's out in the open. I don't need a concealed weapons permit to carry it. In the state of Louisiana, you can carry a gun.
Exactly.
West.
That's a lot of people don't realize that. In Louisiana, you can open carry without a license, which was the back on politics a little bit, was the Louisiana legislature last year. They tried to do constitutional carry where you can actually conceal it, which got, no pun intended, shot down, mainly by the governor, who says he's pro Second Amendment, but of course, there's that's loud.
Oh, wait, hold on, you can edit that.
Somebody's calling in right now.
Yeah, Ted, that's it. Ted, you have to edit that out, Ted.
William Wallis, hi, you're on the air.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
So actually,
well, how do I get rid of this?
I don't know.
All right, hold on a minute.
So my audience is probably going to hear that too. They'll hear that sound effect, but they won't hear it.
Yeah.
So that's the sound of money.
Back. The sound of money.
That's the sound of money.
But so that's what's happened with the governor. He shot that down. Of course, didn't let that get through the override session.
What, the governor we have now?
The governor we have now.
Bell.
John Bell Edwards.
John Bell.
Correct.
Is Bell his middle name, or how does that go?
I don't know.
John Bell.
Is it John? If it was John Bell, or like
one name?
It's kind of like the football players when they have a two-name last name. Like for instance, there's Edwards Claire. Maybe I played for LSU.
Yeah.
So is John Bell hyphenated, or is Bell Edwards?
His last name Bell Edwards.
Right, exactly.
Well, the Bell is the baby mama, and the Edwards is the baby daddy.
That's what it is. Yeah.
He's adding in the laughter sound effects on his podcast.
Baby that's what that is.
Yeah. So what is your show about anyway?
Okay, when we get to that, it's his show.
Oh yeah, it's his show.
But to tell you, when I come to GSL, hopefully I will not have to worry about my safety, because on second to last time I had to pull a gun on a guy, and it's the first time I've ever pulled a gun on somebody.
Yeah.
And it's a very scary feeling.
Well, William will probably send a car for you and have, security and...
Yeah, of course we have security. Well, on my show, when you come down to my show, of course the limousine will pick you up here at your house and bring you down there. And then after the show, they take you for, cocktails and dinner and stuff like that.
So is the radio show like the podcast, or are they different?
It's a little bit different. The radio, so
you can find to an hour.
Exactly. So that's why I kind of do things on different platforms, because I believe some people like to watch videos, on Facebook, YouTube, Rumble, that kind of thing, where I am. But also some people are listening to their car radios, actually still. They're listening to talk radio, so they can bring that in there. It's also for my sponsors. It gives sponsors a local aspect. So people that are sponsoring my podcast also get commercials on the radio station also. So
and they're for life.
They're for life, yeah, because what happens is when I record a podcast or a radio show and I put it as a podcast, those commercials are there forever. So I have shows I did a year, 2 years ago that people can still hear those commercials. People can still hear that. And they get a good, those never go away.
Most people that listen to your podcast, my podcast, any podcast, there's a big push for on-demand everything. If you've noticed, even television, everything is like, for instance, that the things coming out that I really want to see bad on the Beatles. It's all these uncut, all these
Disney
uncut
Plus.
videos.
Yeah.
It's
called Get
Disney
Back.
Plus. It's called
Yeah.
Get Back. Well, I got to have Disney Plus.
Right.
Well,
don't you have a Verizon phone?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, you get Disney Plus with that.
I didn't know that. I don't watch it on my freaking phone.
No,
I don't watch it on your phone.
Watch it on your phone.
I don't watch
You
TV.
watch
I
it
don't
on
watch
your
TV.
TV. You get the
Well,
Disney
and see,
Plus
that's
app
but
on
see-
your TV because you have Verizon phone. That's how I watch
But
it.
see, that's the great thing about a podcast is that you can
It's on
listen.
demand.
It's the added value.
It's the added
that
value.
you get as being a
Never
Verizon
goes away.
customer.
Ooh.
Ooh.
You're going back to Verizon. They don't sponsor this show.
Well, Roadcaster does. Or
So-
does it? I don't know.
But that's a good thing, though. Like with the radio show, they can hear they can hear on the air. Then they can hear the podcast later. On the video aspect, they can watch the video
Right.
while they're whatever as a show, or especially since Victor and you are so entertaining, you know, they could probably be tuned in to this or watching this beautiful sound in the background. But even more so, when I post the video, I actually will already have taken the audio off the video and made it a podcast. So when I make the post for the video version, there's also a link underneath it for the podcast version. So some people on Facebook or YouTube, they might say, "Oh wow, here's the audio link, so I can
There
listen
you go. Yeah.
to the audio."
Yeah.
Because like some people like to go on Facebook, and you know, when you get on Facebook and you're like, there all of a sudden 2 hours go by and you go, where'd the time go? Because it's like, it's just constant interaction there. Well, you can click on the podcast and listen while you get lost.
So now that we've
And
been
you
on
go deeper down the rabbit
He's
hole.
very knowledgeable.
But now that he's like, but my head. You kind of lost me back when.
Oh no, I might be good at one thing, but y'all are far better with this great studio here.
But William, now that we've been on your show,
I love it.
Are you going to ask us the big question?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
The big question that every podcast
This is a question you have to ask.
has to have.
Well, you know, there are two big questions.
It comes
I
right
ask.
before it.
There's one that's really, really big.
Oh no, there's two big questions I asked.
There's two,
Yes, there's two big questions.
maybe three.
I want to ask you, what makes America great?
Okay, there you go.
Well, that wasn't the
That's
question
what
I was looking for.
Okay.
What's the second?
Nevertheless,
So-
what makes
and,
America
and the
great?
second,
is
second one that I like to ask everybody is what unites us as Americans.
Very
What are things that we can unite on? See, I always bring that politics back in.
It's
What
good, but
makes
it's not what we're
America
looking for.
great? What
Okay,
makes
so
America great?
which, by the
Can I
way,
answer
I
this
do have another
Are
question
we
about
strong?
coin trading. We get off all kinds of about coin
What's the
trading.
third one?
Doesn't he talk a lot? It's his show.
I like him.
It is his
Go ahead.
show.
The third one is.
Yeah.
You said you had three.
Yeah. What's a third
Well-
question?
Well, there's two.
That's two.
But the third one I want to ask you is going back to the coin trading thing and people moving their money into coins. You know, when Nixon took us off the gold standard,
Right.
they were able to confiscate or require you to turn in gold that did not have a numismatic value to it, i.e., coins, which is what makes you so
Right.
much.
And
better.
what happened in '33? All right, Roosevelt, the gimpy one.
Yeah.
The gimpy one. He put us on the gold standard and confiscated gold in '33. So between 1933 and 1972, you could not own gold privately in this country. That's why. You know what's funny?
Is that right?
You remember the show Mannix with Mike Connors?
Yeah.
He was a
Yeah.
private detective. It was back in the 60s and early 70s.
Okay,
Well, I was
alright.
watching a Mannix episode. It was probably
Mannix, yeah.
M-A-N-N-I-X, Mike Connors. He was the cousin of Chuck Connors, who was the rifleman. Who
Okay.
played for the Brooklyn and
Okay.
LA Dodgers as well. So I was watching an episode and they were talking about this big gold heist. All right, and they were saying, well, what's the guy going to do with this gold? It's illegal here in the U.S. We're going to take it to South America and sell it. So between 1933 and 1972, you could not legally own gold in this country privately. It was illegal. So in 33, people had to turn it all in. They had to turn in their gold, their silver, their gold certificates, their silver certificates. Everything had to be turned in, and the government gave them just compensation and put us on the gold standard. Nixon took us off. And then people started, but that's why if you look at gold bullion coins, the oldest gold bullion coin are these things called South African Krugerrands.
Okay,
A
yeah.
lot of people have heard
Yeah,
of
a
them.
lot of people still buy those, right?
Yeah, so those things were you could buy those in the 70s, but the thing is, you couldn't buy them here in the U.S., you couldn't keep them here in the U.S., it was illegal until Nixon did his deal, and a lot of people thought that was one of the main reasons why they kind of framed him. And that's what happened to Richard Nixon, he got framed.
You think so?
Oh yeah, definitely.
That is really interesting. That's a great little political thing. So you think
it sells a lot of coins.
So you said he got. So you think Nixon got framed, and that's why when he made the decision.
And he always gotta follow the money.
Okay.
But the question that Teddy was.
Here we go. Okay, we go.
This is the thing.
And then you're answering.
We're on your show. We're on your show.
Right.
We're on your show.
Right.
The question you should be asking us is, Ted, Vic, are you gonna share the show?
Oh, the big question, Ted, Vic. Are you gonna share the show,
Teddy?
Well, it did take a lot of coercion with William.
It did.
After he's been on our show 2 or 3 times.
Ooh.
All over the road.
Yeah, he was quite upset with.
Yeah, so I take that very seriously.
He does.
I've shared the show.
Very seriously. But he did. He
finally
did share the show. But it took a little while.
He finally did share the show.
So I'm not saying I'm going to share the show initially, like today,
I'm like a deer in
the day that
headlights
it's
now.
posted, but I will share the show.
Okay.
Can I say something?
Yeah, sure.
I will.
And I've said this to him in a phone conversation. There's a couple things I want to talk about. The first thing I said to him is that this is a man with no broadcasting experience.
None, zero.
No.
Zero, besides doing podcasts. And what I told him is, and I want you to, and I take the, and look, to all you people that follow William, listen to his podcast, watch his little videos, this man is very talented, and I think he's a natural. I really do.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
He's the kind of guy. I mean,
agree.
you know, if I was a
100%.
program director and I heard the guy's tape, I'd probably hire the guy. If you listen to people that are on local radio here in New Orleans, for instance, and really across the country, there's some bad broadcasting.
Yeah, I've heard. Yeah, exactly.
And he's very personable. He's very natural. I like the way he sounds on the air. That's why he's on our show. If I didn't like him,
And I love to talk.
Yeah, and so I compliment you. I think you're doing a great job. I think
Thank you. Appreciate that.
For someone with no formal experience, you're a very good broadcaster. That's nothing.
Did you podcast or broadcast first?
Well, I did radio on
You started
WGSO for many years before I did the podcast.
Yeah, so you had a little,
And
not really, right. Vic means like you weren't in radio.
I mean, look, when I first started in the radio, I didn't sound half as good as this guy sounds.
Oh, yeah.
We were terrible.
Of course, we were 15
Remember how
years
bad we
old,
were?
but,
We were
Well,
awful.
I used to do public speaking, way long ago, and this was just never on radio. And then one day I got approached, hey, you want to, have a show on WGSO? We all know how that works. But it was exciting for me because I'm passionate about our country. And just real quick, for my listeners and for your listeners, I love our country, and it's a very special place in my heart, in my heart for our country. And when I started radio, I wanted to be, the next right-wing conservative talk show host. And that's why I originally went on radio, was to be that guy. But I ran for office a few years later, and I knocked on every single door in the area, and I talked to people, and I listened to people, did what I do best, talk and listen. Sometimes I don't listen enough, but because I love to talk so much. But I realized that we all have more in common than not. And while politics is still something that incites me and that I'm passionate about, I try on my show to find things that unites us more, because I believe that we're all more united. So after I did not win the election, I rededicated my show to becoming trying to find more things that unites us. And while sometimes my friends will say, well, that's too far right, that's too far left, because I'll bring on Democrats on my show too. But I want to educate people, inform people, and get more people motivated about what we can be united on in our country, no matter what side we're on, and what makes our country great. So that's my question for you guys next.
Yeah. What?
Well, one of the things that's proof that we're united is this.
Well,
all right. Now, for instance, we had COVID come out at the very beginning. COVID-19. All right. Everybody was all scared. Everybody was obeying the rules, wearing their masks, doing all this stuff because it was something new. Then they came out with the variant, and now there's another one that's coming out.
And when you scramble the word, it's moronic.
Yes. But if you go down the lineage of how all this started, you can see how the public is like saying, "Screw this crap."
Yeah, they're like, we're done with that. Yeah.
So that shows you the more united.
Right.
Just that aspect. Like for instance, the government can try to do a lot of things. They can tax cows for farting. They can tax pigs for farting. They can make you drive an electric car, which that's coming.
You better hope they don't tax you when you fart. Cause
I haven't farted in 3 weeks, but that's another story. I keep a count on it. But
Will you warn us if you feel
This is something, a new topic on my show. I've never discussed that before, so my listeners are getting a special
treatment on our show.
Okay.
Farting cows. I mean, they actually think that that's ruining the environment.
Exactly.
It's freaking crazy.
What about all the buffalo that were here? The buffalo were in greater numbers than cows.
Have you ever saw a buffalo fart? It's disgusting.
No, but buffaloes had more population in the United States before cows and even what cows do now.
I will give you a fact, okay?
A fact
buffalo, out of all the mammals, has the largest colon of all mammals.
Not
It's
surprising.
a huge
Right?
colon.
Huge colon, man.
Huge
right?
colon.
Okay.
But those are the things.
Almost
Another
Google
thing. The government can do a lot of stuff. They can try
Yeah.
to do this socialist stuff, whatever they're trying to do. But one thing they'll never be able to do. I can see that you can't get people to do something they don't want to do.
Right.
Okay, and they know they can't use force. And the other thing is, they're never going to be able to take guns away from you. Mark my words.
Never.
When
Never.
that
Oh,
happens,
if that happens, I think it wakes up even more people.
yeah.
So what makes
I mean,
America
criminals
great?
don't wanna lose their guns.
I think America's the people. The people
The
make
people.
America, and the Constitution, of course.
Right.
You
That's
know.
what makes America.
Now, but there's such a divide, right? Like when you said, you're
Yeah.
right wing, you're
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
I'm not a right winger. I'm more of a guy that leads.
conservative.
Right. I have values. Here's the way I like to put it. I have values that align more to the right.
Okay.
However, there's things that my Democrat
That
friends
makes
didn't
sense
talk
to you.
about that make sense to me.
So
And
when you do your
if
show,
we all start you find things that we can unite on, we're all different. 80% of us, 90% are more alike than anything, I think.
when you get a guest for your show, you said you have liberal guests.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
There's that
we got another
again.
phone call coming in.
This is
We're not taking calls,
this
by
is
the way.
another
In case
Michael
you're calling
from,
in, we're not taking calls.
Your brother
we're
Michael?
taking calls. This is
Oh,
another-
you bring Michael
It's
on?
Michael's out. He's my brother Mike.
Oh,
It's Mike Moke. Michael.
Now, my guests might not hear this, but we got Bob or Victor DelGiorno's brother Bob on, right?
Oh, wait, no, he's not on. I don't know what
No,
happened.
but you know what, Vic,
We lost him.
you
We lost.
won't hear him on William's show.
You won't hear my show, but that's all right though.
So-
That's right.
Maybe
We'll
we
have
should
to
save
call-
him for.
we'll have to
That's
save
Michael,
him.
the one that does the talk show
Exactly.
in Nashville.
I got you.
He was just.
But I forgot what I was saying.
So
But
we're
no,
talking
when you
united
get
on-
guests, when you get a guest and you put liberal guests on, do you have a hard time getting a liberal guest? Because I've noticed, like on Fox News, and even if I turn on CNN or MSN momentarily,
Right.
just check them out. I like to.
I invite Democrats
They
on my
don't-
show all the time. I don't get as many far left, liberal Democrats on. I have had a lot of local Democrats on my show. I've even had some statewide Democrats on my phone.
But that's good. I think that's great.
Yeah.
You have, because I've noticed on Fox hardly ever has a left wing
Right.
as a guest.
Well, they used to always.
They
have,
used to.
yeah.
They used to. And now they have, maybe on the 5, they have a token.
I don't watch him anymore.
What
don't
I,
watch
want,
him.
what I want people to understand, though, is you don't have to give up your ideologies to have a conversation with somebody on the other side of the fence, other side of the aisle that differs with you. I'm not going to give up my ideologies and agree with somebody who's maybe a far left Democrat or somebody that has those ideologies. But the value of being able to talk to somebody like that is that I think in our country we're getting divided up by a far right and a far left, so that none of us feel like we can talk it out. So we're all kind of wandering through this wilderness, in our country, and not find things that we can unite on that actually make our country better. And as a result, that's why we get led astray with these $4 trillion of total spending bills. Of course, remember, months ago, it was a $4 trillion bill. Then they said, oh no, we're going to break it down into a 1 point whatever trillion dollar bill. And then they got it passed. And then now there's another 1 point something trillion dollar bill. When you add the two together, it's $4 trillion.
And in that bill is the cow farting.
Exactly. That bill of things that
But they haven't passed in the Senate yet. Am I right or wrong?
No.
It hasn't. It hasn't yet.
As of today, when we're.
What do you think?
Right.
I think it's got a chance in the Senate
It's
because there's a lot of scummy Republicans out there.
what's happening is right now is they can't get enough other narratives out there to distract people to give the one, because that's what's happening. You've got one or two people that are the holdouts, the mansions and the cinemas that are like, we're not going to vote yet, so the Democrats are like, let's get a bunch of other narratives going out there so nobody's watching. It's like, squirrel, and you look the other way.
Great movie.
And that's, and so by doing that, that's how they're distracting people, and that's how they get these bills through. Whereas if we work with people that we can find things that we have in common with, or even some Democrats that we can have rational conversations with, and you can work that conversation.
But that's becoming so difficult
very
to just
difficult.
do, and it would be a good thing if it could be done.
I have many invitations out for Democrats that don't even respond to me. They that's a far right wing guy. And I'm really not far right wing.
Yeah,
I mean, that's funny because the narrative says because I believe in the Second Amendment, that makes you far right. Because I have conservative values. But ironically, if you say you're conservative, you might as well say you're a racist, because the narrative from the left and the far left and Democrats is that conservatism is a bad thing. However, more people can unite on conservative issues than we realize. I've got Democrat friends who are more conservative than some of my Republican friends who say they're conservative.
Right.
So that's why we have to work a little bit harder. I will never give up my right-leaning ideologies, but I will always try to find things that we can find to unite on to bring more people together so we can have more common sense things in our country.
Well, one of the issues that's been a big divider has been this vaccine issue, and if you really run the numbers, the Democrats, constituents, I'm not talking the politicians, the Democrats, they are definitely non-vaccine people.
Right.
You know, these people that are pro-vaccine, they are very small percentage of people, and they're usually people that have been forced to do it because of their job.
When you say pro-vaccine, you mean just...
Yeah. In other words, if they were...
Not the vaccine's wrong for everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd say a very small percentage of people really want the vaccine. I think the people that are getting the vaccine are people that have to get it in order to secure their employment or something like that. But if you really ran the numbers, and you can't listen to the media because they're not going to tell you the truth, people don't care. They don't want this freaking vaccine.
Right.
You know, so that's been another, issue.
Is the vaccine mandate still in effect in Orleans Parish?
Yeah, for what I understand, it is.
Did you hardly? No, I don't live in
But
New Orleans.
some businesses are more laid back about it, kind of thing.
Did you hear today? Now the New York Mayor Blasio is effective December 27. Everybody, not just government workers, everybody is 5 and up needs to be vaccinated.
Or they can't live
Or
there.
you want to take your kid to McDonald's, it's got to be vaccinated.
You just take them out of the state.
Right.
Well, yeah, but it's not that easy for most people. But so this is a mayor that's out in a month or so, isn't he?
Right.
He's been replaced.
Exactly.
And I don't know when that takes effect. The beginning of the year, I'm not sure, but he's on his last few months or weeks of being the mayor of New York, and he's putting that into effect.
And
because he wants to get ahead of this Omicron variant that's out there that has been around for now 3 weeks and hasn't really panned out to be, as of now, much, more than the flu.
Do you know it? Well, exactly. It's not any more dangerous. As a matter of fact, they show that it's related. It's more like the common cold than it is
they're just trying to keep it alive.
And people who
they're trying to keep it alive. And the reason I bring it up is
because they're making money off of it.
LaToya, who's not outgoing, who's going to start another term here
4 more
next
years.
year. 4 more.
Oh gosh.
Will she follow that? You think? I mean, it's possible. Because
do you know in Oregon, they just announced in Oregon today that they are considering making an inside mask mandate permanent in the state of Oregon.
Mm-hmm.
State of Oregon.
How are you going to smoke weed with a mask on your face?
Oh, they'll figure it out. They'll figure it out.
Oregon,
what's funny is that then when they blow the smoke out, you'll be able to see that.
It's a double hit.
Oh.
Well, when they blow that smoke out and you see the smoke coming out of the mask, then you realize that the mask really doesn't help as much as they thought.
Yeah. There you go.
I got a drum roll on that one.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to wrap it up here in just a few minutes.
Well, before you do, I got one more thing.
But we got a few more things, but you haven't answered my question. What makes America great? What can we unite on? But what do you have for me first? I'll let you go first.
Okay, well that's a tough question.
Even though the recording,
I would say cake.
Trumps.
I would say cake would be my first answer.
Because,
I mean, there would be peace on earth if you just bring somebody a friggin' cake.
Oh,
bring
any flavor,
exactly.
chocolate,
Gaddafi, give him a cake. Just he loved cake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago.
Let them eat cake.
A couple of weeks ago, we had the opportunity to invite you to the New Orleans Mission Gala, which
I love that.
And you really liked it. We were glad to have you there. This was something that took place at Lynnhaven Retreat on the North Shore. We're very heavily involved with the New Orleans Mission. And then, so we got done with the night. It was a wonderful night. Danny Goki was there, did a great job as usual. This is the second time, and we're standing around the table and just kind of chatting, around the table. And we introduced you to Ted's wife, and
she's very nice.
And your response was congratulations. Is what you told Ted.
He was telling me.
Yeah, so Ted, congratulations.
He meets Ted's wife, Hazel, lovely Hazel.
Yeah,
and
thank you
says,
very much.
Congratulations, and I want to know why I didn't get a congratulation.
You got a congratulations the first time I met you. I told you how wonderful your wife was the first
But
time
you
I
didn't
met
say
you.
congratulations.
Oh, gosh.
That's a big thing.
I'm sorry.
It's two ways to take that.
Yeah.
So like, you have to look at it both ways.
Yeah,
and kind of weigh it out in your mind.
Or you could have just looked at Martha
in
and
your
said, Martha,
headspace.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You could have said that.
Or it's like, I'm sorry, Ted.
Yeah.
Or I don't know. Either way, it's congratulations.
Exactly.
Thank you very
Congratulations.
much. Thank
And
you.
of course, it's no disrespect that he got a congratulations that you
Okay, I
did.
was just wondering.
I do come to your house and you sit in your studio and appreciate all the time. Did I not come to the table and sit with you and your wife? That should be
Yes,
fair.
you did.
Yeah.
Now, if you look in the camera there, you can see us all there in the camera.
Yeah,
You see William here. He's a good-looking guy. I have a suggestion I'd like to make for William.
This is one of those things just about earlier.
Yeah, we're gonna.
Okay.
Have you ever considered?
Uh-oh. He's pressing the button that has a sound effect, which you guys won't hear, but we'll play it later.
Well, you'll hear it if you listen to the podcast, my podcast, because I'm gonna make a podcast. I'm gonna make a podcast on my show about this.
The full length audio will be available.
Yeah,
Great.
full length, no uncut.
all over the road.
Mine's be full length also, too.
Okay, well there you
All
go.
I do is just drop it. I don't even listen to the whole thing.
Well, what I'm saying is ours will be audio only. Yours will be video
and audio.
microphones.
Now, I don't want you to be offended
Audio.
because you can always edit this out.
Okay.
Because you have the editing power.
Okay.
I don't want you to be offensive because I don't mean to be offensive. I don't mean to be. But have you ever considered a rug?
A rug.
A tube.
A tube.
A really nice
You mean,
tube.
what about a hair transplant?
No. Just a little rug. Something you can, at the end of the night, you can put it on the dresser and, kind of relax, let your hair down.
Yeah. Take it down.
Get your nice.
Wallace, Mr. Wallace.
Yes.
William.
Yeah.
I think he looks great with it.
I mean, imagine him. You know who wears a rug and looks really good with a rug? Wait, this is Martha. This is Martha.
This is your wife.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not coming over.
Congratulations, Victor. That's your wonderful wife.
Okay.
Our engineer, who usually runs the board for this, he's off on
I don't know why it's not
Christmas
coming to the
vacation.
board.
And
He's
Vic
doing a show right now.
Yeah, he had to sit in.
I would say this though, but he was in Cheers. He's a real famous actor. He was the star of Cheers. What's his name? Ed.
Not Ed Asner.
Yeah. He was in. He had a show called Becker.
Yeah.
What's his name?
I don't know his name.
Ted Danson.
Ted Danson.
Oh,
yeah.
Ted Danson.
He wears a rug.
Does he really?
Yeah.
He's got beautiful head hair.
But you know what the thing is, if I decide to go with a toupee or a hair transplant, everybody that's known me for the last 20 years would say, "Oh, you got a hair transplant."
If I get you a nice rug, here's the question.
Okay.
Oh, will you try it? Will you try it? If I get you a nice little rug, something looks kind of good.
Yeah.
Would you try it?
I don't know. I'm kind of like in not having to fix my hair up all the time. I'm kind of like I'm just owning it.
When did the transition start?
Oh gosh, I would say in my late 20s. I started to really.
Started seeing it in the shower.
Was it
in the shower?
No. It's like one day, I'm in the mirror, I'm doing my hair.
Part my hair in the middle.
And I go.
Yeah.
It used to part in the middle. I had one of those big combs.
I was pissed because my hair just wouldn't part in the middle.
Yeah.
I had mine part in the middle, with those big combs, I did all that in early on, but I started combing it over, not intentionally, just because I wanted to be that preppy look, and the more it's receded, the more I just said, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I think you should go to the William Wallis for America Facebook page and cast your vote.
Oh, you hear that, everybody?
If you would like to
let
see
it be known what you say.
Rug or no
rug. Rug or no rug.
Rug or no rug. I love it.
We may have to edit this out.
Do I get to do the Drew Brees
thing? The audio version just doesn't have the value.
Wait, Drew Brees did something to his hair?
You didn't know that? Drew Brees got hair plugs.
I did not know that.
Yeah. Everybody looks at it now and they go,
"What's your source of
information?" You
What are you hearing this news?
It's easy. You look at him a couple weeks ago on the game. Doing the
since he started his TV career.
And look at what he looked like on the field. You go,
Well, he's
okay.
on TV now. He's on TV.
He's in TV now.
He took care of the Nevis.
So because I'm doing more video stuff, should I get a run?
I'm saying you should try it. I'll get you one. I'll get you one at my expense. I'll get you a nice one.
It's a
Try it out.
once in a lifetime
Try it out.
opportunity. You might want to just
Okay.
consider the option.
All right, we got to wrap it up. You were going to ask a question, right?
Well, no. My last question for you. He's already answered the question.
Mm-hmm.
What makes America great, and what can we be more united on?
Wow.
Other than Donald Trump, Vic.
And other than
Exactly.
cake.
Other than cake and other than Trump.
And cake.
Yeah, because let them eat cake was something that the little people got.
Well, that's an easy question to answer
Yeah.
because when the Constitution was written, there was an emphasis on God, our money. The motto that goes on coins and money is "In God We Trust." And if we want to be united, we got to make the main thing the main thing, and the main thing is God. The main thing is Jesus Christ. He is the only God, in my opinion, and in the Bible's opinion, he's the only one true God. All the other ones are fakes. And I think if more people were to discover the Bible, or discover the principles of the Bible, the promises of the Bible, the power of the Bible, the power of the Holy Spirit, I think that we could unite on that. And that's how we were originally united, and we've gone away from that, and that's the problem.
I like that. I absolutely not don't like that, but also there's a lot of things in the Bible that it teaches that are conservative values that I think cross party lines that more people can unite on. I like that. That's a good one. Absolutely. So what makes America great?
I think what makes America great is the people, that make America great. I mean, I think if you go to some, like for instance, we took a trip not too long ago to Branson, Missouri. Great people. You can go to, for instance, once in a while we frequent Laurel, Mississippi, which is a great little community. It's the people. It's the people. And you come to New Orleans and you spend time in New Orleans. A lot of people, especially the people who live up north, go, wow, New Orleans, it's got to be like a racist town, but it's really not.
I know.
I'd say in this city, this is probably one of the most united cities in America, although they will make you think otherwise.
Right.
But
I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think it's the people. I think generally, I mean, when we're created, our hearts are wicked, okay? But through Christ and faith, I mean, we can get past that. I mean, there's a need for a higher power.
Preach it, brother.
Savior. I mean,
Come on.
we all sin and fall short of the glory of God. Nobody's good enough. You can be the greatest person in the world. That's not going to get you anywhere. You got to have a certain belief system, a certain faith-based system. But I think it's the people. There's a lot of great people, and there's a lot of stupid people. There's a lot of people, But I think when it comes down to it,
and I agree with everything you just said. It's partly why we've been friends for so long.
We've been through a lot together.
The bottom line is that when the Bible was taken out of schools, taken out of this, it's that slow progression that's going downhill. And we've seen it slow progression. On the big scheme of things, it's not. In time, it's
Right. There's no such thing as an atheist in a foxhole.
Yeah,
that's
a good foxhole.
And you don't have to stress the people that sometimes when you talk to people and your faith in God and Bible, they go, ooh, I can't live that strict, or ooh, that would mean I have to go to church every Sunday and 7 days a week and
but if you really know what that's about.
Exactly, that's not the gospel.
But the reality is, if you just follow some basic principles in the Bible, you live a good life. You're being good, honest with the people, and if you do fall short, you say, hey, look,
What you're going to.
You say, hey, look, I'm sorry. Yeah. But it's that communication and being able to apologize for something you did wrong that means that you're still on the path, even though you don't do the right thing. So I appreciate that. And if people, after listening and watching this video or listening to my podcast, they can find yours all over the road.
Tell them, Ted.
It's all over the road, New Orleans.
All over the road.
With the New Orleans.
Yeah, and Apple Podcasts. I think most people listen in the United States, or at least Apple Podcasts. You can look it up on there. We're, of course, on there, and Spotify, and the Google Play, and all the different platforms for podcasts. We're pretty much on all of them.
Right.
And
I
I
would
would
try to do a new episode like weekly,
weekly.
at least weekly.
We're going to probably have a couple extra shows this month.
Yeah.
We're going to have we're going to bombard you with shows.
And it's
this
New
month.
Orleans focus, like we said at the beginning of this podcast.
What's a feat?
It's kind of we try to talk about New Orleans stuff because we are in New Orleans. We have a lot of people from outside New Orleans.
Right.
Yeah, so we talk about other stuff too.
Are interested in New Orleans who will listen, but we talk about things all over.
It's the feel. When you listen to our show
Yeah.
with the elements, you can get the feel. But I would like to do this. I would like to look straight into William's camera and
This camera here.
This camera, and I would like to say this to all of you that love and support William. That this is it. I, the king of all podcasting, bestowed on me by J. Power and Associates, recommend and highly endorse his podcast, William Wallis for America, and he did not pay for this announcement.
I love it. All right, everybody, you heard it straight from his mouth. And I appreciate y'all watching and I appreciate y'all listening. And in the words of Victor DelGiorno and Ted Semper, share the podcast.
Share the show.